Good morning from Low Country Shrimp and Knits. I am Tracy, the owner, and I am here with the master of all things fiber, Judi. Judi Kirby from Maggie Loves Yarn. Good morning. Just going to wander over here. Someday I'll have a setup that makes more sense. Someday when I have a big grown-up shop, this will make more sense.
She'll have a director. That'll go 3, 2,
Yes,
1,
go.
and actually aim the camera.
Right, instead of me going, can you see in this thing?
It's a happy Friday.
I know, happy Friday. Although, starting, of course, and the whole world's talking about the death of poor Queen Elizabeth.
I stayed up last night watching some of the stuff.
Did you?
And they kept talking about how, she'd been queen for 70 years, and that's the only queen anyone had ever known. And I suddenly realized, well, yeah, that's the only queen I've ever known.
Right.
I don't. But the thing is, my neighbor and her sister are over there.
Oh, cool.
They got there on Wednesday, and so, but I never thought of this. She posted on the Facebook last night that they were actually at Buckingham Palace when they announced it.
Wow.
And they got interviewed by a journalist, and somebody answered her in the thread, go get some food and get it in your hotel room because everything is going to shut down for 10 days.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, oh my God.
Yeah.
He goes, there'll be limited restaurants open, and it'll be such crowds there.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, oh my God, to be there at this historic moment and starve to death.
Right. That's not the best way to go. If you're going to go out, that's not the way for me.
But I never thought of that.
Yeah, no.
She could be in, and I thought, well, then get out of London, but it's going to be like that all over the country.
Oh, it definitely is. But what a cool time to be there.
I know. Did
to
you
be
see
able
the
to be-
double rainbow that appeared?
No, I didn't see that.
Just as they lowered the flags, because it had been raining all day, just as they lowered the flags at Buckingham Palace, a double rainbow appeared over the palace and then went away a few seconds later. Mm-hmm. That gives me chills.
Yes,
that's so cool.
I love that.
Well, because she really did. She really loved her country, and she made mistakes. We all do. We're fallible.
Human.
We're human.
Come on,
But she truly, truly loved her country.
She was just good people, and I'm an Anglophile anyway, so I love all things British, and the history is my absolute favorite. So,
did you watch The Crown?
I didn't. My husband likes only gore and violence and military movies, so. It's very limited. I usually just knit, and he's got his shows on.
They were in production for the next season. They've closed. They're not going to produce anymore. They said it was their love letter to the monarch.
Oh.
Monarch.
Oh, that's nice.
And so it's nice. I know, but I wanted to see some more of the stuff.
I'm sure it'll come back. Maybe it's just going to take a respite, and they'll have to then adjust.
They'll have to
pivot a little bit to
finish the story.
Yeah. So wonderful.
So I didn't knit last night. I had a margarita. I think she liked margaritas. I'm not sure.
In honor of the queen, she must have loved
the queen
some
loved
tequila.
Margaritas.
Slancha.
She was a tequila queen.
Well, so last night we kicked off our class on the, as I call it, Mary Poppins bag, which is this fabulous, fabulous bag. And so this is my foray into color work with Judi. And so I got to about here. So it doesn't scare me, but this back, I am far too OCD for all of these dangles.
You might like the bobbins, but the bobbins always tangle on me.
The tangly, dangly. I'm like, whoa! It's
just comb through. We're doing the Kate Fawcett way, which is you let them hang down and you comb through it just like she's doing. And then, you just cut a big piece. And then, like I told you guys last night when you were learning this, when you first start out, you don't know how big a piece to cut.
Right. That's not me. It's next door.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I'm like...
There's ringing. There's
somebody in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And you kind of comb down through it. So sometimes you get too short a piece and you have to, and then sometimes you get too long and it tangles anyways. But excuse me, you're at the point where if this is bothering you, weave them in loosely.
Yeah.
Or tie them off because you're going to felt it.
Well, and I'm starting to learn here that I haven't, I did a little too tight here with the wraps. So I need to kind of focus on that. But this is my first piece with all these different colors.
And you know what? This is you're gonna felt it. That's how I taught myself to knit. I'm a self-taught knitter, and what I did one whole summer I was home. The boys were away. They were working by then, and nobody was home except me during the day. So I picked up a book and I started reading. And what I did was I knitted bags because it taught you how to increase, decrease. Mm-hmm. It taught you how to work in the round.
Right.
It taught you how to make I-cord. So I'd make a bag, and then when I got it done, I just felted the sucker to death. And you couldn't see any of the mistakes.
Well, that's
but yet
what
I
this is
had a
gonna
bag, not a little washcloth. I had a bag, and I could take it out.
Felting you to death.
And people could go, wow, you made that? That's really good. And then you couldn't tell the
You're
mistakes.
like, yes, just you can't tell that I've forgotten all this.
I now have 500 bags in my closet.
That's
No,
okay.
I didn't have
That's
that.
okay.
I moved on after 4.
So, yeah, so it's definitely an interesting concept here that I'm working with. So I'm liking it so far. So we'll keep the progress.
It's going to be gorgeous when you get done.
We'll keep the progress of how this is going.
This is called the Weekender bag, if you look at it on Ravelry.
Yeah, and it is through Interweave Knits. Interweave Knits. And if you are in the area or not, I can ship you a kit. So I've got a couple of extra kits made up. And it includes the book, it includes all the yarn for the piece, and a lovely shrimp and knits bag. But it doesn't include needles, but
Or the vodka you'll need.
yes, or the shots of tequila in honor of the queen. So yes, so if you would like that, just reach out. I'll be happy to ship one to you. Now, as far as smooth sailing is going, I actually...
It's Flaming June.
What did I say? Smooth sailing? Huh?
Yes.
As far as smooth sailing is going, it is done.
That ship is already sailed.
We are done with that one. So
That boat is already sailed.
But so we've been working on Flaming June, and I have to say, actually, for the first time, I'm ahead of Judi on a project because I have her. Hold on, I have her doing 11-5 projects, but she also has me doing 11-5 projects. So, but
tit for tat, girl, tit for tat.
so I have finished. All right, I did the. Did we start with the right side? Yes. So I finished this, and so you bound off part of it, and then you kept the rest on a holder. I did finish up the back, and these are just held on waste yarn. And then over here, I had to pull out a few minutes ago because I got focusing on doing the collar here, and then I didn't count my rows. But it's just chaos anyway. Remember, this is the
Yeah, but that's
catastrophe
going to look
cardigan.
pretty bad in the front.
Oh, God, yeah. So I just yanked all that out. So it's still a little chaotic, but, you know, its heart's in a good place. So.
Well, we did a little thing before we started, before you came on the air. Because I have, it says do it for 10 inches, your armhole. And if I lay it down, and it's hard to tell, in the front you've got your 10 inches, and that's good. But then when you start on the back, it's kind of hard to set it down and measure it. And I was having a really hard time measuring. So what I did today, because I thought, well, it says 10 inches, but it's not how I figured it out on my count that I would be at 10 inches. So what I did, because this was my bound off edge right here for the left side, here's my back. And what we did just now, we took one of the beautiful mannequins over there, and I pinned it. I pinned the left here, and we brought up the back.
Yeah.
And my back is a little higher than, even though it says 10 inches, my back's a little higher.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Because you got some booty, girl.
I got the booty and some butt. Booty and looty.
Woo! Twerking it. Twerking
Days. Boobies and butts. So, and I'm going to have to have Emmeline teach me how to twerk. So, anyways, I know then that I'm probably right, and what I'll do is if this is too low, I'll just seam it a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's a cardigan, and I like stuff underneath it, so I don't like it really tight.
No. Who likes it when then you can't move your
But
arms?
that's a trick to do. Pin it on a mannequin, and I'll tell you what, I have one at home that Gordon got it at an auction. He goes, can you use this? Well, it was a man's mannequin, so
Right.
I didn't really have the boobs.
Right.
So I put a bra on it and stuffed it to my size.
That works.
I'll use it. It's not a problem.
Yeah, and if you don't have a mannequin, you can always go into a store. They love it when you put your stuff on their mannequins. They do.
Excuse me, I'm going to take off this $5,000 gown.
It's fine, Prada.
It's
Prada. Step aside, okay? Did you see that what I am making here? Okay,
This is the lower part.
It's clearly.
I'll put it all back.
You can just steam it later. It's fine. Don't worry about this.
But I'm glad I did that because then you could tell.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about using my man boobs, but it was only waist.
Right.
So I just leave it in there and just use it to scare guests.
When they come in, I gotta say there are times.
I need to have it named.
Yes,
Tell
I know.
Emmeline to name it.
Okay,
for me.
we'll have to name it because I have 3 in here, and I put one outside to kind of demonstrate, what we've got coming up in classes and things like that. So we've got this great. Nancy is our teacher for crochet.
You want me to get that?
Yeah, it's really cool. So everything right now is very crochet focused, and it's great. So she has put together this sweater because they've got the cardigans that are the granny squares are like what's old is new again and really, really in, and they're expensive. So we're going to have a class on this.
Look at this baby.
Look at this cardigan.
Is this not gorgeous?
So
it makes me almost want to
learn to crochet. I know. I want to crochet, but then I keep finding all these knitting things I want to do.
It's
so crochet.
so pretty.
Yeah, she did an absolutely fabulous job. So this class is going to be 3 sessions over 3 months, so that there's plenty of time to make all of the squares and get everyone comfortable with it. So if you are new to crocheting, this is a great start because granny squares are really user-friendly.
Oh, they're in.
Yeah,
they're in.
and they're very
Everything is so boho right now.
Yeah, I love it. So we've got this class coming up too, and again, all these kits because these are all we chose fall colors. My older daughter is obsessed. Lena is obsessed with fall and the cool months, and so I have some things to decorate. But she absolutely told me she would kill me in my sleep if I decorated the shop without her. So
And as you've probably figured out, this shop is total chaos by the time we get done with you guys because we pull stuff out. Oh, look at this, and then we throw it over here.
I know.
I'll put it away later.
I know. And I'm so OCD. Everything has a home. Everything has a home. So.
Yeah. She came in last night. All I was doing was I had to open for her last night. First of all, I couldn't get the key to work, and I was panicking to death. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I had to throw everything on the ground. It's like, oh, thank you. Yeah. So then somebody wanted needles, and they're so nicely arranged over there. She came in everywhere.
I was like, oh.
She had size 13, and I couldn't find them. And she's like, well, no, not the way you throw them everywhere.
This giant pile. You couldn't find anything in there?
And forget about. I don't even pull out yarn. Just get it out for me, please, because I can never shove it back in the way you do.
You know, it just has a home.
It's so nicely put in.
Home.
But I don't know how you do it because I start to put it in, the back won't go in. So I'm like,
oh, you just have to sweet talk the yarn. It doesn't want to be shoved. No one likes that. No one likes to be shoved.
It doesn't want to be put back in because it wants me to buy it.
Oh, well, that's it. Maybe it's different because for me, it just wants to love it and for me to talk how nicely it fits into the world.
So this is where we are on this. Mm-hmm. I would check to see. Now I'm going to ask you something too. I'm leaving to go up to see the grandchildren on Wednesday because Emma plays volleyball and Hunter plays baseball. So I don't think I'm going to take this whole thing with me, but I may take and work on the sleeves.
That's a good idea.
So I don't have to cart this whole thing up.
Yeah, I'm hoping that I can finish this front this weekend, this one piece, and then kind of see where it goes from there. So,
well, my goal was to be where I thought, oh, I might just have this done after working on it, but then I got to working on other stuff, and the Queen died, and tomorrow is
passing really threw off my day. I know
the football, and I'm working on my slip stitch blankets.
Oh, I want to see that at some point. You'll have to bring that in. It's so beautiful. So I just, this is called my Chaos cardigan, even though it's really called Flaming June, because my daughter didn't like that I was calling it the dumpster fire. Because it's kind of a dumpster fire.
Yeah, but that's what I was going to ask you. Some people on the sleeves put a little bit of that contrast color.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
So I was going to ask you if you were going to do that.
I'm going to do that. Let's do that. That's a good idea.
Okay.
So also, this does represent the chaos. I don't know if you can see. It looks like I put it through the washing machine. It's loved. It's very loved.
Mine looks
like
the
Velveteen
same way.
Rabbit.
She ran it off for me, so I blame her ink.
Oh, well, that's...
Let's just blame it on something else.
That could be. It's my ink.
This is what's important on the back.
Oh, there that is. Who uses that?
We did not have tequila down in this early this morning.
It's so fancy that back here.
It's my iced caramel latte. It really is. Nothing else is in it.
So I got started on this beauty, okay, and it took me, again, 10 years to find the darn thing.
Yeah, and you're going to do color work different on this than you're doing on that. That's
I know.
what I'm afraid of, that you're going to get confused.
I know. So I'm just going to, let's pause on this one. Until I can get a little further into this front piece.
So let's save it till I come back. Because I won't be here next Friday.
All right.
She's on her own next Friday.
So I got this started.
I think we should get Nancy to come in. She can talk about crochet.
Oh, maybe I'll have to see what she's got going on. So here's what I got started. It looks amazing. Doesn't this just like, wow, you have nailed this. So if
she's
anyone...
nailed a straight line.
Yeah. It looks kind of obscene and maybe like really odd Christmas gift for the man in your life.
But this isn't really... I was talking about this yesterday at my other knitting group, and they thought that was a really cool way to do the loop.
Yeah, I liked it.
And your loop is so much tighter than I like your loop better. When I do I-cord, I think you should I-cord tighter, and I just don't. I never do. I get it loose.
I'm just a super tight knitter as it is.
You are.
So.
No, because look how much smaller... I mean, we're using the same needles.
Same needles.
And so mine's going to be kind of a big stocking, but I like that.
Yeah.
Because it's just going to be one.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put anything in it. But yeah,
mine's for the miser clause that doesn't really want to stuff it full of...
What size needles are you using?
I think the same as you. Let me see. Of course, it's now not on here. What does this say? This are 6s.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got 6s. And look,
You
I
do.
pulled the wrong blue. I wanted your blue, and I stole the wrong.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. Yeah, that's got more of a purpley hue to it. Dang it all. So, yeah, but I'm a really...
But isn't that interesting? That, I mean, there you can really see the difference. That's why gauge matters. Not on this,
Right.
but on a sweater,
Right.
it really matters. Because because especially
It's
Flaming
the
Jude.
tiny little
She
thing.
kept saying, well, should I go up needles?
Well,
I'm
I
like,
should have gone bigger needles then.
You could have gone up to a 7.
I could have, but now it's too late. I've
Yeah,
committed.
but I think it's going to be a pretty little stocking.
committed.
Mine's going to be a big ass stocking.
Yes. Well,
And
you've
I
got
keep
some
thinking,
big-ass
should I
gifts
start
coming
it
for
over
you.
and go down?
What? No. Why?
Oh yeah, because it's just going to be one that I used to collect stockings, all
Yeah,
different kinds.
so it's just going to be...
So it's going to be hanging on the wall. And
It's
fun.
going to be part of our Bluffton
You need a
series.
big. You need a big.
Yeah. Well, my dad always gave me a jar of pickles. I mean, Santa always brought me a jar of pickles at my dad's house, and they wouldn't fit in this stocking. Because
That's
I
true.
was always asked for pickles, so I
You
got
know,
them for
my
Christmas.
husband always did to the boys. Because he worked at a university, and he worked actually, he was an office manager, and he did all the printing for the university tests, stuff.
Man, I could have used him.
And so at Christmas, he says, "I'll get the stocking stuff," and I'm like, "Fine." Of course, and I would always sneak out and buy a little
Right,
handheld,
stockings are
like
fun.
a handheld game. No, he'd go into their supply closet and get pencils, pens, little notebooks and stuff, and stuff.
Like, that's not
stocking.
fun.
No, but it's halfway through the year. You're going to need more of this for the second half. He would do that to them every year. And do you know, last year when our son was visiting, he thought it was me that had done that. And I'm like, way to throw me in. No, I'm the one that got you the cute little toy in there every time. Your dad stuffed it with necessities. Thank God you weren't living in a dorm then. He would have stuffed it with toilet paper.
Although there was a time that would have been a good gift a few years ago. It would have been a good gift.
I had a friend. We talked about doing this, and we never did it in college. But on the weekends, everybody left, and we could see this dorm behind us. Which it was only 3 floors. She had this idea for like the ultimate prank on a weekend, was to walk in on Friday night with a suitcase like you were visiting someone, and go on every floor and steal all the extra toilet paper for the weekend, and then walk out. So that dorm would have no toilet paper for the whole weekend. She thought that would be so much fun, and I kept saying, "But Karen, we're the next dorm over. They'll just come in and use ours." She goes, "That's okay. I've got a whole suitcase full of it."
We got plenty. There's plenty to go. I can spare a square. I can spare the 3 squares.
I don't want to be run off campus, 3 months before we graduate.
So anyway, we'll put this on hold until you get back, so that way I don't get too confused with.
Yeah, I think
because I do want to learn the flicking and throwing at some point, because I'm lazy. I just want to go, this is faster. I know how to do this. I don't need that. I can do this. But so yeah, we'll work on that. And then I've got this started. So Syracuse, college football, as you know, our resident college football diva. We started this cowl, and I started it first on different needles, and I didn't love them, and because I was just going to knit up the side, because the circular ones I had were just too big, and I didn't want to do the loop. And then we got these smart sticks in, and they're 16 inches, so they're perfect for this. So then I just joined it, and I'm just going to stitch this up with no big deal. But
Syracuse really scored a lot.
they did. It was 31-7 against Louisville. And so I'm doing it by quarters, just because I want to have a little bit more striping, but they didn't give me the opportunity to do any striping. Because
I know there were a lot of games like that last week.
Yeah, so they had, because they're playing the better teams are playing some of the not so great teams, and so they're crushing them. So I did
Except
10.
Ohio State, they played Notre Dame.
Yeah.
At first I thought that was really dumb.
There were a couple really good games. What was the other one that I watched that I liked? New Orleans, right? What was that? We talked about it. I can't remember.
Yeah, LSU.
LSU. Yeah, that was.
You know what was
a good
freaky?
game.
The first quarter and a half matched Ohio State Notre Dame almost play for play.
Did they do the flea flicker and everything?
Well, they didn't do the flea flicker, but the score, the other team scored first, and then, just the way they were playing, it was really kind of freaky, especially since Brian Kelly was from
New Orleans.
Yeah.
New Orleans.
No, he was from Notre Dame.
Notre
Dame.
Dame.
To Nolans.
Nolans, that's right. Backwards. I don't follow it like she does. But I'm, so Syracuse University is where I got 2 degrees. 75 years ago at this point. I mean, like it feels like it was only like 4 or 5 years ago, but it's
my high school 50th reunion is next year. High school.
Yeah,
that means only 4 years away from my college 50th.
Yeah, I'm not ready for that.
I'm not either.
Yeah, there's not enough Botox in my life for that yet. I'm just gonna So I'm working on this, so we'll see where this one goes. So these are the projects Judy's got me doing, plus I have like a unfinished object. Let me see if I still have it. So I've been making this sweater. I started it this summer because I wanted to show off this fabulous yarn we have from the fiber company. It's called Ciro. And in the hank, it looks very white because that's kind of what they pull all the mohair together with. But when you knit it up, it's just got this really kind of halo fluffiness to it. So I've gotten one sleeve.
It's going to be gorgeous.
It's going to be at some point when I actually finish it, but I still need a sleeve because I don't think it's in vogue to just wear one sleeve this year. And we could make it.
You could be a trendsetter.
Like, it'd be half vest, half cardigan. What do you think? This arm is very chilly, but it's fine. It looks super cute. But it's coming along.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good.
It's coming along. A few little guys that we need to fix. But I'm a big cardigan person because I get hot, I get cold, I'm hot again, I'm cold again. So what are some of your favorite notions that you use? Because I see you got little safety pins everywhere. Well, yeah. So I use these safety pins that kind of look like light bulbs.
In other words, what can't you live without?
Well, I can't live without those because I screw up and I need to hold on to them so they don't create a ladder. So mistake ones. So that's definitely one that I can't live without. I got this clicky that they call it. It's actually called row counter clicky.
I love that row counter clicky.
So it is by Knitter's Pride. It literally is called row counter clicky because it sounds like, I don't know what the word is. Nope, here it is, row counter clicky. And it's cute with polka dots. Well, I'm just going to wave to some of our friends. Hello, good morning, Denise. Hello, guys. So glad you're here. Thank you so much for joining us. So I like these.
I have it in pink.
Oh yes, the clicky. That's fun. And I love the sock monkey just because it's super cute at measuring tape. So these are the kind of the silly things that.
What other things do you have in your box?
Oh God.
We'll compare. This is a good day to compare.
Oh God. Well, I have lip stuff because I can't have dry lips while I'm knitting.
Okay, I don't have that.
I got my clicky.
Is this for people who interrupt you while you're counting?
They may need to have, lose an eye.
Okay.
So I have a lot of, again, I screw up a lot, so I have a lot of hooks, so crochet hooks to help me fix. I love, I was trying out different cable needles for the class, so I've got a whole bunch of different cable needles, and I ended up with the one Judy said in the beginning, these circular needles.
I have mine in a little case. Is that not cute?
Oh, that's cute.
Show you. Yeah, and they're great. They're spiral. And this came in a little case.
Yours is a little smaller than mine. That's cute.
Yeah, a little smaller.
Yeah.
But you slide the stitches that you're going to cable on, and then it lays flat up against your knitting. And it doesn't.
Big needle.
These I hate because they fall off. The stitches fall off them.
Well, and these are just huge.
Yeah.
So I guess if I were doing something with a giant cable across it.
Just lays flat up against, and then when you're ready, it just slides back onto your needle. And I fell in love with these. And what was really cute was a lady that comes to our knitting group in Sun City. She had a bunch of these. She knitted for her friends. I have to tell you what she did for me one time. It was so cute. It's just a little sleeve. We can make these. I figured it out. It puts it on. So when I'm not using it, I just hook it.
Oh, that's
smart.
And
I can keep knitting.
You don't just put it in your mouth like me, which is super sanitary?
No. I stopped doing that during COVID. This I bought during COVID. My friend Gretchen. Hi, Gretchen. I call her Scarlett O'Hara. During the COVID lockdown, so we talk every day, we ordered everything under the sun.
Right.
We ordered personalized sock blockers. We ordered these. I think the sock blockers came from Ukraine.
Oh.
I got them in February. We ordered them in December, but that's another story.
Yeah.
And then, we ordered these. We ordered all kinds of stuff. And it was so funny because I'm sure I'm on a watch list somewhere from all these
Look at all these things that she has purchased.
From all these countries that were delivering things to my front door. But this is really, I love this. This is one of my absolute favorite tools. And it came like this in a little, oops, don't lose it.
Oh, that's
It came in this, and it fits right in there. So this lady who had made these, she's really sweet, and I would always tease her. Eileen, we played back and forth and stuff, and I like to give her some pretty stuff once in a while. So I had given her, I think, some stitch markers, and my friends were doing a stitch marker exchange every month. We'd make stitch markers and then exchange them. So and she liked to make them. So I had been somewhere and I bought her a bunch of beads. I mean, just a ton of stuff. It had fish, it had little people. And I said, okay, so I want you to make me stitch markers and you get to keep 2 and I get to keep 2.
Okay.
And she's like, oh, I don't want to do that. And I said, yeah, do it. So it was right before Christmas. I get the doorbell rings. So I go to the door and her husband is in the golf cart. And she's ringing the door. They both have red sweaters on
Aww.
and little Santa hats. And she hands me this box. And I said, well, thank you. I opened it up, and it was a whole story with stitch markers. She had made little boats and little people who went fishing. And so they had little fish. I had like a couple whales. I caught a couple whales. I mean, I've only used a few because I just don't want to tear up that box.
Well, no, I don't blame you.
Absolutely adorable.
That's very clever. I like stuff like that.
So I also have in mind a nail file.
Is that for the wooden points?
Sometimes you get a little nick, and sometimes you get a little nick in your finger,
Mm-hmm.
and then I hate that when you keep catching it.
Yep, that's smart. I should add that to mine.
So to add that.
All right.
Let's see. What else I once did that. I got a set of needles, and they were from Knit Picks, and they had just a little. And Knit Picks has fabulous, just like Tracy, has fabulous customer service. But I had just a little nick, and I went, I'm not going to return that. So I filed down a couple days later. I'm knitting this like. I still had a little nick, so I filed. I finally called them and I said, I have a weapon of mass destruction. It is so
You need to take this out of my hands.
She goes, yeah, let's send you another set, honey. I said, you want these back? And she went, oh, hell no. That's too dangerous for us even.
We can't ship those.
It just kept going and going and going. It was
We've got to declare
you know how
them.
when you're in the pencil sharpener and you're listening to somebody talk and you get it out and you're like, oh, good Lord. You know, it's so sharp. It was like that.
My kids are always making shanks. I'm not sure why they feel they need shanks at our house, but they make them out of popsicles or you know, these they have these push pops that, you know, at the end they made them so pointy. And in fact, so this is what I wanted to tell you because this is how ridiculous my younger daughter is. So it's been absolute chaos this whole year with her because they are really cracking down on the dress code and they don't want the kids to wear athleisure, as I think I've mentioned before. So I've literally had to go in twice since the start of school, which was 2 weeks ago, to bring her different clothes. And we finally have nailed that down. So I figure, all right, good. We've got a good, easy week. Now, I haven't been called in. We're all in good. So Emmeline comes home and she goes, well, I caught so-and-so. I'm like, you caught them doing what? And she goes, she was taking pictures of us and she did not have our permission. You know, just like a kid, like, you know, they weren't doing anything. They're in class. And I said, well, that's, you know, that's not nice.
Was it another kid doing it?
Another student, yeah. So she goes, so I told her, you better delete those. And my daughter's very brazen. So she goes, you better delete those because you can't just take pictures of us without our permission. And she's like, I don't have any pictures. So Emmeline goes, I can see them, delete them. So she deleted them. Well, later on, now this is 7th grade. So I don't know, like, I'm pretty sure the 7th circle of hell might be middle school.
I think it is.
I think it might be. So she's right in the middle of this hideous. And 7th grade is just brutal. The kids, it's just a really challenge. I taught 7th grade for a year and whew, bless the middle school teachers is all I have
They
to
get
say.
their own clouds.
Oh my God. So, you know, she comes home and she goes, all right, well, so-and-so, this girl told my friend that she wanted to fight me. And I'm like, what? I'm like, what? She goes, so you know what I told her? And I'm like, no, I can't even fathom what you told her. What did you tell her? She goes, I told her, you want to fight me? You got to fight the whole family. And I'm like,
she's mafia.
I'm like, I was like, what? I go, you know, I don't fight, right? She goes,
my dad, Gino?
She goes, yeah. She goes, I know you don't fight, Mom. You fight with words. I'm like, I'm not really a fighter. And then Lena's in the car going, wait, I don't want to fight. Do I have to fight? I'm like, no, honey, you don't have to fight. So I'm going, oh my God.
My Uncle Tito, my Aunt Gina.
They're all going down.
You was dead to us.
You're gonna wake up with a horse head in your bed. So I was dying. I'm like, okay, this is what's going on in my house right now. So I've got, you know, chaos on one hand, and I've got my daughter throwing us all under the bus to start a fight at the school. I'm like, what? I've never been in a fight in my life. I'm not starting now.
The doorbell ring one day. This whole family's standing there.
You gonna fight us? I'm like, oh man. I only fight with words. That's how we were raised. We fight with words. Not physical action. I'm like, what? So, yeah, I knew you'd appreciate it because Emmeline, she's very much my husband. I birthed her, and that's pretty much where my likeness ended with her. So,
That's so funny.
it's like, oh, God.
That is so funny.
So, yeah, so that's...
well, no wonder they're making shivs with the...
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm
Thanks
like,
with
what
the
is going on
popsicle
in your
stick.
life that you feel that you need these weapons? And it's usually things that are frozen, so at least I
I'm
feel
sorry.
safe.
What if you learned at home that a girl would say that to another?
Oh, right, I know. Right, I want to fight Emmeline. You want to fight Emmeline?
Oh, she should just come there and go, dance off.
Right.
Twirl.
Twerk. She's a master twerker.
She is. I want her to teach me.
I a little bit am horrified and yet kind of impressed with the abilities.
I
because
am.
I don't know how you
I'm
can throw your
impressed.
lower back around like that without needing traction or at least a chiropractor. So, yeah, so that's what's going on in the Winslow household. So watch out. There may be a gang fight going on, and
We're just...
I'll just have to write about it in a blog
we're
or
just
something.
plugging away.
Yep.
Yep. Gordon's working part-time as a delivery man for AutoZone auto parts, which is fine. He's not working in a store, so he's not on his feet all day.
Right.
And he's not, they give him his own car to drive around, and he's not in the house.
Right, which is-
But I didn't realize how used I got, because, my dog Maggie is deaf. So we talk some, but it's only I have to look at it. She knows this means eat.
Right.
And, go for a walk and stuff. But last Friday, because he was home, I'm sitting there in the afternoon, and I'm knitting, and finally I realized, oh, dear God, he's still talking.
Right.
He's still talking to
What is
me.
he saying at this point?
And I had totally tuned him out. I've gotten used to it. He's only been working like 3 weeks. I got used to it.
Yeah. Well, my husband works in the world of cryptocurrency, which is like, he could be working in space as far as I know, because I really don't understand. I get the basics of it, but as far as exactly what's going on, and it's all acronyms. Like, do we have to use so many darn acronyms? It's the FCC and the PDA, XYZ, PDQ. I'm like, okay.
Well, it's like military.
Yeah.
Because Gordon was in the military. And
Yeah.
and then, what time do I need to be there? You need to be there at 1700 hours.
5 p.m. Okay.
I know. I was
told there
good.
would be no math.
Because I was going, okay, 12, 12. And then doing one eye, and I'm confused. He's like, oh my God, will you just pay attention? It's like,
Trying to. I was told there would be no math in this.
Can't you just say? When I was pregnant with Chris, we had to spend, because I had married him and he was just finishing up his career in the military. So we had to, we were down at Fort Gordon in Georgia, and it was the first time ever.
Gordon at Fort Gordon.
Yep, living on a military base. I was pregnant, and we pull into the grocery store, the BX, and Gordon says, "You can't park here." Why? It says Sergeant of the Month. Well, you're a sergeant. They're not going to know. And they're like, "Yes, they will know." And I'm like, "Seriously, fine." So then he goes. So then we would go to the movies, and the movies are always fun because they're cheaper and they're, they show movies. But you always have to stand while they do the Star Spangled Banner before the movie while they show slides of our military men in action.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you know what I did at the end of every single one.
Applaud.
Play ball!
Oh, of course you did. Of course you did.
Would you stop? Would you just stop? I found living on a military base, I've got it down pat now. I can handle myself. Except when we moved down here, I was doing aerobic classes for the base, and I did rehab classes for those who had been injured and people who worked on the base and were civilians. We do.
You really are a master of so many hats.
So I was doing one for teachers over on Laurel Bay, because on Laurel Bay there's 2 elementaries and a middle school. It's a huge housing development for the bases down here, because we have the Air Force Base, we have Paris Island,
Yep.
and we have the Naval Hospital. So, there's a lot. And so I'd gone over to the school, and I had done my thing, and I was getting ready to leave, and my friend back home, she had a tubal pregnancy that burst, and she almost bled to death in the emergency room. So she had called me the day before and told me all this. So she called me again. I wanted to make sure she was okay. And without thinking, I picked up my phone as I'm driving off base. 2 MPs and a security guard blocked me in all at once. It was like, whoop, whoop, whoop. And I'm like, oh,
Oopsie,
no,
sorry, my bad.
I'm going to the brig. And I kind of went, and they came up and they go, you know what you did? I went, I know, I answered my phone. I'm
sorry.
So sorry. They go, there's no talking on your phone when you're on base. I said, I know, I'm really, really sorry. They go, well, I said, where's my friend? She got a table emergency and she was bleeding. I wanted to make sure she was okay. And he's like, we don't care.
Yeah.
Don't do it again. Or
Sorry.
you won't be allowed to drive on base.
Sorry.
And I went,
Sorry.
just this base? No, ma'am. Any base. And it's like,
Sorry about that. My bad.
I know. And I'll tell you what, I left the Air Force Base one time, the Air Base, after teaching, and we had just switched auto insurance, or Gordon got the tags just done or whatever. Mm-hmm. And he put everything in a new envelope, but he didn't put it in, and he didn't tell me it was a new envelope. I didn't pay any attention. And so I'm sweaty. I'm in, leotard, I'm in my workout clothes, and I've taught this class.
Right.
And the air conditioning was not great in there. So they're doing an auto safety check, and I get pulled over. And I'm like, I couldn't find any of the info. And I'm like, really, will you have it? I'm like, please don't. And I'm like, can I call my husband? Because I'm afraid to touch anything. They're military. They're
right.
I'm like, did you leave it on the table? Where is it? He goes, let me talk to him. He wants to talk to you. I mean, like 20 minutes I'm hunting for it. And finally they go, okay, it's okay. It's somewhere in your glove compartment. Just go. Get out of our sight. Just let her go. She's too crazy to be dangerous, I thought, sure, I'm in so much
Check out
trouble.
her. She's in her head-to-toe leotard and spandex and probably leg
I
warmers.
don't care. My
Maybe
husband
leg
drilled
warmers.
that in my head. But then what the MPs say to do, you do.
Well, I'm sure.
Yeah. You have a healthy respect for the military.
Oh,
you really do.
God, yeah.
So Tracy's getting in some new yarns.
I am. I'm super excited about it. So I've got a couple.
Too. I've got patterns already just picked out.
Oh, I know. So hopefully we'll get here soon. It is from France. It's Bichet et Bouche. Biche et Bouche. I don't know. I have to get the. I don't. I'm not.
I call it.
It's been a
bitches
while.
boucle.
You did call it bitches boucle, and that's not quite what it means. And so
But if you call and I'm working that day, I'll know what you want.
Yeah. If you're like, do you got any bitches and boucle in? Yeah, yes, we do. We have le gros lamb's wool. So
but I'm not allowed to touch it because I never put it back right. So.
You are cut off.
Just tell me what you want, and I'll write it down for when Tracy comes.
Yes, well, that's up. So bless Judy's heart because she's been helping me. I just started classes for Montclair State yesterday, so that was my first day back, and I was like, I'm just gonna have to open the shop late because my second class ends at 5. And she's like, I'll go and open it for you. I'm like, oh, thank you. So
yesterday was my first day. And I had open studio knitting at Sun City that I'm in charge of, so I had to open that up. So I said, well, I'm going to leave at 3:30 because it runs at 4. So I really wanted to time myself.
Right.
And it'll be good, not a problem unless I have a wreck. So I get here, and I had taken the sweaters because I went to the Sew What Club meeting, and I wanted to show it for show and tell.
Yeah.
So my hands were full, my bag's here.
there we go.
I can't get the key to work. It will not
It's
work.
so disgustingly humid here. It's been raining for like 6 weeks straight. I kid you not. Every day we get inches and inches and inches of rain. It's just everywhere. And so this little shop gets very muggy in here. In fact, so much so that I had to get rid of some cloth things that I had, bags and stuff, because it got moldy. So thankfully it didn't affect the yarn, but it, so I had to get rid of some stuff. I got a dehumidifier and trying to like keep the homeostasis between the outside and the inside similar.
I'm trying.
But it's so humid, the door's like.
So she texts me. And so now I'm trying it, and I got one hand and everything, okay? And the key won't work. That's what I put. So I threw everything down, and I tugged with both hands, and I went, never mind.
We're good. We're good here.
We're good. I'm in.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So yesterday was my dog and pony show with students, and it's always, you say the same thing. They've heard the same thing. I mean, we all have. I mean, this is college level. So at this point now, I've got freshmen, sophomores, and mostly, and then a couple juniors, an occasional senior, but they have to take these classes to graduate. So they need to take 2 semesters of a language, unless they're native speakers, as a graduate requirement. So they've gone through all the rigmarole, and most of them have taken 101, and I teach all the 102 classes. They're my absolute favorite because it is preterite and imperfect tense in Spanish, which is very tricky, but I love it. So I've been teaching this for years. I mean, I think this specific class, like 6 years at the college. So, I'm going through my whole song and dance, and I'm like, bzz, phone, bzz, phone. I'm like, I got my kids going, I don't know where the bus is. I don't know. Did I miss the bus? I'm like, you better not have missed the bus because I can't come get you. I'm in the middle of class. You're going to have to, I mean, we're not that far, but, and my husband's on his work calls. And so it's like, psst, now what? You know, and then I had the woman coming to take the class with us last night. She's like, I can't find the shop. And I'm like, oh, God.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he was like 10 things I had to call as soon as I got off my call. But
she was so cool. She come in and she sits down before, she goes, so I said, you've knitted before? Oh, yeah, I've knitted. No problem, you know. And I said, so, okay, are you familiar with color? No, I have never done color work before. And I'm like, okay, so we're gonna do this. She goes, I thought this was applique. We just make the flowers and we applique them on. And she's funny. And I looked at her and I went, does this look like a quilt shop? And I went, no, this is all knitted. Oh. And
she
so
was
by
great.
her face,
She's
was
great.
pure panic. And I went, so you've never done color work? I don't think so. And I went, okay, so we'll take it slow.
Yeah.
And it's only on the front. Well, I don't know if I can do this. And I said, so you've knitted before? Yeah, growing up, I made all those ski sweaters. And I went, then you've done color work.
You've done this. You can do
She
this.
went, oh, is that color work? I went, that's color work. So she was great.
Such a fun
But
class.
her grandmother had taught her how to crochet and knit. And her grandmother taught her how to crochet first.
Right.
And then she learned how to knit, and I don't know how she does it, but it's totally backwards. In fact, she had to stop and think about when you put the other color in the other hand, which way she does it. I watched her. I could not figure out how she did it.
And I couldn't. I'm opposite her, so I'm watching it, and I'm like, oh.
I know. It's like in this hand, but you put it on the right needle, and somehow it ends up on the left needle, and it's knitted. And I watched her.
It works.
And I said, I just want you to know that, first of all, A, that's cool. B, I cannot help you. If something goes wrong, there is no way on God's green earth I can help you. So you're kind of like in this, this rescue boat by yourself. The captain, which is Tracy, and
cannot help you. I'm going down with the ship at that point.
We're on the other boat, lifeboat, and I don't know what to tell you. Just holler through the bullhorn, and we might be able to talk you through it because I have no. It was cool.
It was cool.
She knits beautifully, but it was like I don't know how she does that.
And that's the whole thing that I love about knitting is there are so many ways to do similar things, and they're all unique, and that's why when I start teaching classes, I'm like, there's 11 million ways. None of them are wrong. If they work and your pattern comes out the way it's supposed to, then that's right. I had this one sweetheart come in. She was making a baby blanket, and it was beautiful, but the scalloping had gotten all off. And she's like, can you help me? So we tinked a whole bunch of it, and I put it together, but she's got the long 14-inch straight needles, and I'm like, trying to use these things, and finally I'm like, this is so challenging. I'm like, I wanted to get her into circulars or smaller things, and she's like, oh, I see why you're struggling with it. Well, she knits with them between her armpits.
I've seen that.
She knits with them between her armpits, and I'm like, oh, because that's not how my mom taught me how to knit in purl, and everything else I've just kind of figured out. And we had like one 1 hour session, and that was pretty much, okay, bird, kicked out of the nest, go do your thing.
Go, you little osprey.
Yes, go, yeah. And so I just the way I do stuff, even when I started, Judy's like, well, what kind of cast on do you do? I'm like, I don't know. It's something I kind of made up along the way. So apparently it's a long tail cast on, but it's in my own unique,
that's gorgeous,
bizarre way that
there's so many different ways to cast on. And there's a lot of people. I'm on a couple sites on Facebook that there's a lot of European knitters on there, and Scandinavian, and they use something called a belt, where they put this belt on, and the needle sits right in a little hole right there as they're knitting, and so they don't have to put it under here and keep it here. They keep it in the belt and they knit, and it's like, sometimes some of the stuff that they do that they think the way we knit is crazy, the way they knit is crazy, but it's like knitting circulars. It's because I teach the sock classes here. And I just lost where my needles were when I put it down.
The time to be.
I know. So, they go, well, so I've been around people, they go, well, I'm going to teach a sock class, and you have to use double-pointed needles. Well, you just lost a lot of people, because I don't use double-pointed needles.
Right.
I would love to learn how to do that sock, but I'm not going to do it.
Oh.
So I don't care.
There is definitely a love hate.
People either love
people either love them or they
needles.
hate them, and that's pretty much the way it
I
is.
use 2 circulars.
Yep.
A lot of people use magic glue. It doesn't matter. It still comes out. You got it done.
Right.
Use what you're comfortable with. Don't let anybody tell you that's not the right way.
Oh yeah, we had a woman in here the other day working on her, and she was starting with the sleeves. I'm like, oh, that's smart.
A lot of people do start with
sleeves. I'm like, I follow the pattern because I'm a rule girl. I need the rules. The rules tell me start here. I'm starting here, and that's,
I can't because
you're not a rule girl.
Well, I've never been a rule girl. You know that. I thought you knew me.
I do.
But only I
middle
just
child.
don't because of making them fit.
Right.
I don't make this whole sweater, make your sleeves and then you do, because of the pattern in the cardigan or the pullover might pull up, it might be looser, and you've made the sleeve and it doesn't fit. So what are you going to do?
Right.
I mean, if it's like with socks, I know my measurements and I can just whip them out. So some people who have done enough sweaters probably know all their measurements and they can do that and they can start and they can get them done.
Yeah.
And it's getting colder now up in like Minnesota in the evenings.
Yay.
And it's getting colder over in Europe and all these beautiful sweaters are popping up.
I wish it would start to get a little chillier here.
Sweater weather.
Sweater weather.
But they just do such beautiful work.
Yeah. Yep. That's
such beautiful work. I love those. They do these fair isles that are just absolutely
that's
gorgeous.
Gonna be...
And they go, I had leftover yarn, and so I just made this. And they go, what's the pattern? Oh,
I just made it up as I went along.
There's no pattern. I made it up as I went along. And it's like...
So Judi has this one that she did, which was what, 25 different patterns? Is that?
Oh, yes, Crazed Scandinavian. It's 23 different charts. It's a cowl. It's a Scandinavian
and it's gorgeous.
It
is gorgeous.
I should bring it in. Remind me when I come back. And I'll
absolutely gorgeous. But I'm like 23 charts, but it does make sense when I saw the scarf, the cowl, because it is like just.
And that's fair on.
Right.
Each strip is different.
Right.
Which is really, really cool. But I said, I want to do this. And I want to do it in 2 colors. A lot of people didn't really look it up. Crazed Scandinavian. Plus, it's really wide.
I mean, it's
and
just
I halved it because I knew it was too wide for down here.
How did you have it without screwing up the pattern? Was it a
because
repetitious pattern?
The repeats, I had 2 on each side.
Oh, okay.
And I only did 1 on each side.
Gotcha.
And somebody else had done it, and I read how many they added on. And so that's another thing of Ravelry. I went through and I read, there's the size I want to make. And they said how many stitches they put on. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
And I did it in 2 really kind of a cream and a light minty green. So you have to look really carefully to see it, just in case I screwed up some. But it was 23 different charts. I had a hard time using it on Ravelry, so I really did print off all the charts.
Well, yeah, I would. I need them printed. I know that you use a lot of times Knitter's Companion, right? Is that what it's called? Knit Companion. But I need it to be able to write on it. I need the
you can
hence the reason it looks like this.
But see, you can do that also on Knit Companion. We need to show you one day what all you can do on Knit Companion.
I know.
But
I haven't gotten on the bandwagon.
And for an easy chart, I could do it. Like I the only reason why I didn't for the stocking with the herons was because it was such. I wanted it bigger so I could see it was a small pattern to fit it on this page. And
although speaking of this pattern, I have to say I'm very pleased. Judi taught me a new trick. So do I have the heron pattern? Here it is. So on the bag that we're making, it's it's got a big pattern that we're following, and then Judi had me break down, and maybe this is obvious and I'm still new and learning all this stuff. Again, once you figure out, when you're teaching yourself, you're just kind of like, this works, and then you go, that's obvious, why didn't I think of it? But anyway, so we work from the top down, so it will look like this, but right now, so she broke it up into different, we use markers, stitch markers, every, 8 on the
it's 8 on that. That's where it's going to screw you up, and it's 10 on that.
It's 10 on this one, okay. So, but that is helpful to use the stitch markers, because I'm like, how the heck am I going to remember what row I'm on? Also, I used my tiny friend. Let me see if here he is. He's a little eraser my daughter gave me, and so I just kind of put him underneath the one that I'm on so I don't get lost.
Well, you can write it across it, too.
I could, but
it's 70 stitches, so you have 35 on the front and 35 on the back.
Yeah.
3 stitch markers.
I like my penguin way.
But that's...
Come to the penguin side, Judi.
No. Now you may forget what I was going to say.
Sorry.
But I do this on sometimes when there's a pattern,
Yeah.
going across a leaf pattern or whatever. Because if you screw up, you only have to go back 10 stitches.
Right.
When you make a mistake, you don't have to go all the way back to figure out where your count is off.
Here's the pattern
And that helps.
that we
I had
started
that in front of my face.
last night, and so it's nice and big and chunky. It's a very easy pattern to follow, but it's where down here where I was like, oh my god, I can't see. I'm blind as a bat. And
Stitch markers are your friends. Lifelines are your friends. So to get back to Cray Scandinavian,
Oh, yes.
I had given myself an entire year to do it. And I was not going to rush.
That's a lot of commitment. I can't even commit myself to a hair color
so
for
I
that
knew
long.
I wasn't going to work on it every day.
Yeah.
But then I got going. So once I really kind of got the rhythm down, and I was doing it, and there were some days I literally, this pattern, this chart has this many rows, divided by 365. How many rows do I have to do every day to get it done?
That's a lot of math.
And I got that, so it was really funny because I kept going on it, and some days it was an easy pattern, and I could just keep going.
Right.
And some days drove me nuts, and so I'd count, every couple of days. I'm like, I'm to September.
Right.
I'm to September, and I'm doing it, and I actually finished it by the end of May.
That's awesome.
I wasn't because I was, oh my god, I wasn't crazed.
Right.
I didn't have to get it done right, but it was like, okay, I'm gonna go
Work on
I'm gonna
this.
do it. I
Yeah.
was, ew, I love it.
Well,
I
sometimes you
love
just
it.
get really obsessed with what you're working on, and you're to the point where we're doing these cable quilts. It's Nora's vintage blanket or Afghan, and so each month we kick off a new square here. And so one of the sweethearts that comes, Joanne, oh my god, I love her so much. She's like, I have to put this thing aside. I'm dreaming of the damn thing right now. So I was like, yeah, let's give it a little bit of a rest. She's like, I'm going to make dishcloths. I'm like, that's probably a
Do
good
what you
idea.
gotta do.
I'm like, that's probably a good idea.
Do what
for
you
a little
gotta
while.
do.
You don't need to
But
become crazy about
Stitch
it.
markers are your friends. Where's your little tooth jar full of stitch markers? I love her jar.
Right there.
She's got a little jar.
It's
and
not a tooth, it's a
full.
marshmallow.
It is.
It's a marshmallow, and you
I
make
keep
hats for
thinking
them.
It's a tooth.
No, it's marshmallow. Look, I've got the marshmallow
I would have
series.
put this in a dentist office. This is what plaque looks like on your teeth.
Brush your teeth. Now I have another one somewhere too. They're little marshmallows, and I wanted to make little hats for each season, and have them wear little hats. But I never got around to it, so mostly it's just...
They are cute. But she's got full of stitch markers and safety pins and all kinds of things, which is good, but I'm afraid I'd knock that off. So I put mine in this.
Yeah.
And each little section is fine. And then when you spill something, it's only one little section. You got to dig
Yeah.
all over the couch and whatever.
Yeah.
I was in the bathroom the other day.
Whoa. We're going there?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And found a stitch marker.
Where was
It
that?
must
Where are
have
you
been-
hiding your
I must
stitch
have dropped
markers,
the
lady?
little circle and it
This
caught
is not
my-
that kind of show.
It must have caught in my clothes or something, and I ran to the bathroom during a commercial, and I went in again later, and it was like, how'd that get in here?
Well, these darn things, I find them everywhere in my house.
do
I'm
too.
like, my kids are like, Mom, did you know you have a stitch marker here? I'm like, no, but just, give it to me. I'll put it in with my pile of stuff. So
You find stitch markers everywhere. But really, really, truly, use stitch markers. Trade them with friends and stuff.
yeah.
That's fun to
We've
do.
got some gorgeous stitch markers here.
We do.
Our friend Liz makes them.
And Liz is
Simply
having back surgery right now
I
as we
know.
speak. So Liz, we love you.
Sending out some positive thoughts. These are my favorite. I think I've mentioned these before. They're like little balls of yarn that she's made. These little cute stitch markers here. And then these, we've sold several of these little cats. Or bunnies. This is the bunnies one. So we've got that. But all kinds of fun stitch markers that I just love.
She loves making them.
Yeah, they're so pretty. They sell really well here.
I think she said she just sent you some.
Oh, sweet.
They're Halloween ones.
Woohoo!
She told me that the other day, that she had just sent you a bunch of Halloween ones.
Nice.
So,
Yeah, I'll
get
have
yourself
to...
some stitch markers. They make
definitely.
cute gifts, too.
Well, I've had people buy them just to wear as a pin.
Yeah.
With the little, kind of things, or make them, into a necklace or things like that.
Well, if you got... some knitters and you want to get them something cute, get them stitch markers. You're not spending an arm and a leg, and
No.
they're not cashmere worthy yet, but you would like to get them something.
Yes. People that you're like, I want to make you something, but not that level of commitment quite yet.
I know.
So, because people, I've said it, but it's people have to recognize how much time and effort goes into anything that's handmade for the most part, and they must really love you if they're going to spend all this time making something for you, because
I told you what you say to people that you don't like, that want you to make something for them, whether you're never going to make it.
right.
Knitting something for you is like the act of love. If I like you, I'll do it for free. If I don't, you don't have enough money in the free world.
Yeah. So
yeah, kind of like that.
And I used to make stuff and just give it away because I loved knitting so much that I didn't want to not, but I never kept anything. And now I'm like, man, I wish I had kept that sweat. Oh man, I shouldn't have given away that, all these things. And I gave away all my stuff that was cold for cold weather because we moved out
just
here.
heard from Drew. She just got out of surgery. Everything went well.
Oh, thank you, Lord. Okay, good. I'm
okay,
so
great,
glad.
Liz.
Woo! Glad to hear it, girl.
You got a gift coming from all of us down here.
Yes, and we love you. So,
I texted her the other day. I texted her husband the other day, and I said, "There's a group of us down here. We call ourselves Pearl Girls, and we just initiated Tracy.
Me.
You don't know that yet, but you have to be initiated.
Okay.
But no, and we wanted to get her something, but we weren't sure what, and I can't tell you in case she watches before it comes because it's not coming till tomorrow.
Yes.
So I texted Drew and I said, "This is what we got." Yeah. Well, I said, "This is what we're thinking of getting. Is this okay?" And he goes, "Yes." And I said, "Okay." And he goes, "She also likes lagers and he names these beers." And I went, "Oh, really? I thought it was wine. How did I get that confused?" So I texted him yesterday and I said, "Let me know as soon as she gets out of surgery, and her surprise should come tomorrow." And he goes, "Okay. Well, when's the beer arriving?" He's so ornery. He is so ornery. You can't put him and Gordon together at all.
No.
No. They just feed off each other.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Which makes for interesting fodder at the least.
We've talked a lot about knitting today.
I know,
it's so unlike us.
I know. The only story we told it was about Emmeline threatening to fight the whole school.
I know. I still love that. Gina. You got my mom Gina, my uncle Tita.
Well, so you have your drunk elf in your phone that...
I do. No, he's not an elf. He's a leprechaun.
Oh, he's a leprechaun. Excuse me. My bad.
I said we were trying to text each other one night and my autocorrect wouldn't work. Or your autocorrect wouldn't work.
Kept spelling everything. I'm like writing things that are spelled properly in English, and then it throws it to something I would never say that doesn't make any sense. It's not grammatically appropriate. It isn't even contextually appropriate.
And I said, think of your autocorrect as a drunk little leprechaun inside your phone trying to tell you something. So mine is Sean.
And mine is Gina, and she's a drunk little leprechaun from Jersey. And so she's always throwing things up.
If your name is Gina, and
sorry,
you
we love
Gina,
you. We love you though. So you're not my drunk little leprechaun that doesn't know how to spell. So because we couldn't be friends if you were, because I'd have to correct you, and you would hate that because it's rude.
Well,
but.
I sew for people.
Yeah.
So how often do I use the word sew?
Quite frequently, I
imagine. It always comes out S-E-E. And I'm like, come on, Sean.
Well, Gina doesn't know how to spell my daughter's name. I mean, she's only been my daughter for 12 plus years at this point, and it always wants to change the second E, so she's Emmeline. They wanted to change it to A. I'm like, that's not her name. Not her name. I named her, so I know her name.
For you?
Yeah, I'm like, I named her, so I chose the name and the spelling. It actually turned out that, so I just liked my girls' names. I just loved them, and so years later we found out that both of our names that we have for the girls actually are familial names, and we had no idea.
Really?
Yeah. So
we had
my dad's family is from France, and I have like a great Emmeline grandmother. So she was Emmeline. Yeah, Emmeline. So and then Lena was my grandmother's sister's middle name, and how would I know that? So my grandmother's still alive and well at 96, bless her heart. So
it's really hard to name a child when you're a teacher.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, because they always remind you of people that you were like, oh, that kid was such a brat.
I know, and I'll tell you what, he every name, not him, Lord no. And so we, for Chris, we picked out the name Christopher. Well, he was like a week late. And it was like right around Christopher Columbus Day. And I'm like, no, if he's born on Christopher Columbus Day, we cannot call him Christopher. He'll never hear the end of it. So he was born actually 2 days after that. But then only once in a while it falls on it. Because I had a lady that taught with me. We were friends. And her son went to the same Montessori preschool that Chris went to. She said, so Danny came home. I said, yeah. He used to call him... Kissfitter instead of Christopher. Kissfitter. And she goes, what did you learn today? Did you learn about Christopher Columbus Day? He goes, kind of, but we learned more about it was Christopher's Day instead. So we got cupcakes for Christopher's Day. I said, well, double duty. There you go.
Killing two birds.
I couldn't think how you said that. Christopher.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's kind of hard to remember because now they're 36 years old, how they once said that.
Yeah, there's a lot of little nuances that I never wanted to change.
Hi, you're live with your...
Well, I'm just glad. Okay. So you can look up either Low Country Shrimp and Knits or Irreverent Knits, and that's kind of what we're calling ourselves because I think it's really apt, very appropriate for.
I think so. I think we should do the Halloween episode in nun habits. Oh.
I have a place in heaven still, so I don't know if I want to mess with that.
I know. I got to start soon. I'm getting old. I got to start being nice so I get into heaven, you know? Be nice to people. So my brother and sister-in-law usually send really snarky cards, and they're so funny. They send the funniest cards, and I got this really nice one time. I'm like, what's wrong with them? And inside it said, do you like the card? It's part of our new program. Let's be nice so we can get into heaven. Next,
he gets
have
back.
a good week.
Are back.